Well, hello there once again, and welcome to Five Homes to Freedom. We are in Module 2, Lesson 11, and we're going to be looking at using the mortgage analyzer to calculate different scenarios, how it affects, what are the effects when you use your cash versus a joint venture partner's cash or money from other sources. Also, what happens when you put lump sums of payment down versus gradual payments. Now, I was going to re-record this and go through it, but I went back to review this session in the original version of the Five Homes to Freedom. And in that version, I had my wife, Joanne, who at the time just obtained her real estate license. So she was an active investor, active property manager, but not an active realtor at the time. And I used her to play the role of the student, and she played a very good role of the student because in reality, although she's very active in investing in real estate, she's not active in the scenarios that I teach and apply. So I was actually teaching her through this whole process, and some of the information she was aware of, but she played the role as a student. But for much of it, she was honestly learning as if she was a brand new student. And I just found the value to be so good, I've decided to just replay this this version. Unfortunately, it's approximately an hour long, so it's much longer than any of the other videos we have in our updated version 2.0. However, I think it's truly worthwhile. So I'm just going to play that so that it can be recorded for everybody. All right, so we're going to take a look at the analyzer and we're going to make some assumptions. I actually have Joanne sitting with me here tonight. She's going to participate in tonight's webinar broadcast, and Joanne is going to play the role of the student. So what's going to happen is, as I'm going through the scenarios, there's going to be a lot of questions, some potential confusion. You have these questions already in place, so hopefully you've got them printed off that you can follow through with me. If not, don't worry. You can print them off later and you can go over the broadcast again. But what Joanne's going to do is she's going to play the role of the newbie. She's going to be listening to the presentation, and she's going to jump in with questions as she sees the opportunity and thinks that there might be people a little bit confused. So we're going to look at buying two properties with our own down payments of 20%, and then we're going to look at a third property where we need the help of somebody else to buy that property. And that's about all the time we're going to have tonight. And as you can imagine, there is a plethora of different scenarios that we can go through, but I'm just going to cover the ones that I think are going to be the most appropriate for now. So, as I say, there's the end of the webinar presentation. So we're going to open up. So, what we're going to do first of all, you have a document called Using the Mortgage Analyzer. So if you have that handy, just bring that out in front of you, and we'll go through the mortgage analyzer and how to actually use it. So this analyzer, all it is an Excel spreadsheet. When you download this Excel spreadsheet, you have to be very careful that you don't mess up the formulas. It should be protected. However, you know, always, what I do with this analyzer or any other Excel analyzers, whenever I finished with a particular analysis, I will save it as and put it in a particular file, and then always go back to the original document and open it up to start from scratch with any fresh analysis. So this, and you'll also see in this particular case, this analyzer in big bold letters here says Canada. I also have a version for the US market, and the reason that there's a difference between the Canadian and the US analyzers is that the Canadians and the Americans will calculate the mortgage payments ever so slightly different, but over a big period of time, it makes a very big difference. So you want to make sure you're using the proper analyzer. I'll make sure this, I don't know how to get rid of that. So let's just jump into it. The first thing you're going to do, step number one, is enter the information up in the left-hand side of the analyzer, and you start off with the list price. So if we want to put in, for example, the list price on the property is let's get up here, 325,000. What's going on here? There we go. $325,000 is the list price.
So are you just making this information up? You're just showing us how to use it for now?
So right now I'm just running through and I'm just entering numbers in just to show you.
Okay.
So the list price is $325,000, and let's say that you've got it under contract for a purchase price of $310,000. It will automatically calculate the loan amount at 80% of the value. So if you were to take $310,000 and multiply that by 0.8, which is 80%, I wish I knew how to get rid of this thing permanently, you'll get a $248,000 mortgage. The interest rates, let's say, for example, you get 4%, and you can get a 25 or 30-year amortization. Let's go for 25 years. The loan start date is, we'll put 0101, but we'll make that 2013. Maybe I won't. 01 2013. So it calculates the monthly payment for me. That based on a 25-year loan period, that's 300 payments. So if we jump down to down below here, you'll see that the beginning balance is $248,000. We start making payments, and the balance drops ever so slightly. Oh, this is really starting to annoy me. Put it down there. Tell I'm not a computer expert. Apologize for that. I'm having to use my old computer tonight. My new one calved on me. So it gives you the ending balance as well. And anytime you make any changes to the mortgage payment, so let's say, for example, we have a lump sum payment that we want to put down on this property 6 months into it. What we're going to do is we're going to scroll all the way across here on the miscellaneous, and we're going to put down, let's say we've got $5,000. We won a scratch ticket, so we put $5,000 in here. Watch what happens to the ending balance now. They're going to all change. So now our mortgage is actually going to mature in 291 months, not the 300 months that originally scheduled. So that's how any mortgage calculator will work, and it will work when you only have one mortgage. The problem is, what we have multiple mortgages, and that's why I've got across here property number 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So we'll come back to that in a couple minutes. Going back up to the top half of the analyzer, you'll see in the middle we've got future value. This is just a guideline to help you estimate what the potential future value of that property is going to be. So based on a future a purchase price of $310,000, after 1 year, 3% appreciation is worth 330. Actually, it's list price of 325. Sorry, because it's based on market value. So after 1 year, it'll be 334,750. At 4%, 338,000. 5%, 6%, etc. So in year 5, it all depends on the amount of appreciation. If you're in a market, for example, we live in an area where the appreciation in one of the markets that we invest in is probably only 2 or 3%. So we would use column 1. However, if you're buying properties in Fort Saskatchewan, then you might be experiencing an appreciation of 6% over the next few years. So if you buy a property for listed at $325,000 today, in 5 years at a 6% appreciation, it's going to be worth $435,000. That's very important to understand and know, and we'll come back to that in the future.
Here, this one. Keep the current color scheme and don't show this message again.
All right. I should take the time to read the note. All right, now on the far right-hand side of the analyzer, we have the cash flow, and this is a very, very basic income and expense. This is not intended to help you analyze larger properties. So if this property that we're buying in this case is a duplex, and the upstairs unit brings in $1,300, that's great. We leave that at $1,300. If unit number 2 is $900, and then of course there's nothing else, so we put 0 in there, or actually we have to delete it, sorry. Where's my delete button? Delete, delete, delete. So that shows that we have a total of $2,200 income for that property. What happened to... Now we've got property taxes. So we know that our mortgage... Actually, my whole page disappeared here. What's going on?
No, just the text. Something... I think that message that you're getting has screwed it up.
What's going on? Bear with me, people. I apologize. I'm just going to close this and reopen it.
There you go.
There we go. Not sure what happened. Okay, so go back over here to the cash flow. And so we got income of $2,200. Our mortgage payment is almost $1,200. Property taxes on a property of this nature is approximately $2,400 a year or $200 a month. That's reasonable. Property insurance, about $100 a month. That's reasonable. And you may decide to set aside $100, $150, $200, or nothing. It's entirely up to you. And I'll get into that in a little bit more detail later.
Sorry, so what are you setting that aside for, that miscellaneous?
So this miscellaneous is going to be for maintenance and repairs of your property. There are other expenses that you can run into. However, the premise here is that you're dealing with, because it's more of a home with a suited basement, you have less turnover, not as frequent. Your tenants can be a little bit better. So you just, you screen your tenants really well, have fewer turnovers. When you do have a turnover, maybe you have to go in and clean the carpets. There's a couple $100. But you already set aside $100 a month. Maybe you have to go in and paint it, whatever. You've got that money set aside. The alternative to doing that is you could take that $100 out of there. See if that'll let me do that. And I didn't think so. Okay, I've got to do that instead. So if you take that $100 out, it increases your net income on a monthly basis. But now you're not setting any money aside when you have to draw on it to do some repairs. What I'm going to suggest you do is one of two things. Set the money aside or create a line of credit that you can use specifically for maintenance and repairs of not only this property, but your pool of properties. So let's say you've got 5 properties just like this one. You've got a line of credit that you can draw on up to $10,000 or $15,000. That's all you really need. And one of the units becomes vacant and you need to go in there and spend $2,000 to bring it back up to good standing. You take the $2,000 from your line of credit, do the work, and then from your pool of money, you start to pay off that line of credit as quickly as possible. That way you aren't setting money aside and receiving nothing for it. It's not working for you, okay? That line of credit is money sitting there ready to be used when you need it, and only when you need it. So this allows you to use $700 of the income as opposed to $600 of the income.
Okay,
Make
so
sense?
You're just leveraging your money better.
You're leveraging your money better. So in this particular case, we've got $700 positive passive income every month. So what I would suggest you do is come over underneath property number 1.
So you're on tab property 3. Is that a problem?
That is a problem.
Sorry, I should have pointed that out earlier.
There we go. So we'll go back here.
Yeah, just take that out.
Take that out.
There you go.
All right, so we're on property number 1. And this was different. We had this at $310,000, didn't we?
Yeah, and you had used 4% interest, but 3.5 is probably fair right now, isn't it?
Yep, 3.5% is fair right now. So, okay, so hope you're following me. So we're on property number 1, and we've got the information in. Our mortgage payments just over $1,200. Our cash flow is $660. So let's round that to $650 just to be safe. Now, on the first month, we don't get that $650. So we just bought the property. On month 2, we've got it rented. We've collected an extra $650 after expenses. So I'm going to put that $650 into there and watch what happens to our number of payments now. It drops by 1.
So where are you really putting that $650? I don't understand.
So what we're doing is we're applying this as an extra payment on our mortgage, principal pay down. However, what I would suggest you do is instead of waiting until month 2 to put that $650 on, what I would do is say, okay, based on my calculations, I can afford to pay an extra $600 a month. So I'm going to make my monthly payment $1,840 from the very beginning.
So even though so I get a mortgage at the bank or wherever, and my mortgage payment is supposed to be $1,238, but I can tell them I want to pay $1,800 a month?
Exactly.
Okay.
And the reason you want to do that, and this came to light when I was speaking with Dan Heon, I mean, you can just take the extra payments and add the $650 after the fact, but if you do it at the very beginning, even a portion of that, $500, whatever the number, if you do it at the very beginning, what we're going to do is we're going to change the amortization period. So let's watch what happens when I change this to 20 years. My payment's going to go up. So our target is to get it up to about $1,800, right? All right, so we're going to keep going. 15 years. There's 1769. So let's go up to 13 years. Nope, too much. So around 14 years, probably. So right now, what we could do, sorry?
So just click on there. So by changing it from 25 years amortization to 12, we got the payment up to the $1,800.
Yeah, so it's 14 years now.
Okay, sorry.
So we've increased. So what we've done is we've calculated what the future cash flow is going to be, $600 and some a month it was, right? So instead of adding it down here, we're going to decrease our amortization right from the very beginning. And now our mortgage is going to get paid off in 168 months, 14 years, as opposed to 25 years.
Wow.
So let's take that out of here now, right?
Yeah. Delete.
Yeah. Okay, so now we've got this one property set up and it's going.
So just remind me, so now if I need to do a repair, I have no money left because I'm putting it all in the mortgage. So if I need to do a repair, I'm going to go to the line of credit that I've set up.
Exactly.
Okay.
So right now, what you could do, you've got a property with a $248,000 mortgage, and the market value is $325,000. Pretty much any bank would allow you to take a $10,000 or $15,000 secured line of credit out against that house.
Okay.
So you go to a bank, get a line of credit, and you only need to do this once, because it doesn't matter how many properties you own, you only need that one $15,000 line of credit for your repairs and maintenance. Make sense?
Sure, yeah, that makes sense.
So now you can take 100% or virtually all of the 100% of your cash flow and apply it right up front. Now let's say we move to the next property, property number 2. And property number 2, I'm not going to change any of the numbers in here. Let's just assume that this number, this net income is correct. It's $744. So if we took $700, now we could do a couple things here.
Okay.
We could split that and take $350 and do the same thing as we did in property number 1 and apply that $350 to our monthly payment here.
Okay, so instead of paying $1,200, we could pay
it down as quick as possible.
Yeah.
So we could do that, or we could leave it as it is and take all of this net income, the $744, and apply it to property number 1. So let's take $700 of this net income. We'll go back to property number 1, and under the property number 2 column, let's say we bought this property 6 months after we bought the first property. So we'll go down to 6 months, property number 2, and we're going to put in $700 a month. So our actual number of payments should drop. Well, it's only a partial payment. Sorry, tongue twister. But that's going to be repeated every month. So what we're going to do is put that in every month for the balance. Now we've just reduced the number of payments from 168 down to 116.
So that's dropped from 14 years down to less than 10.
Yes. So what is 116 divided by 12?
9.67.
So based on this scenario alone, you're going to have one property paid off in 9.7 years, and your other property will be about 1/3 of the way paid off. And we haven't done anything else.
Right.
So this is the whole concept, is to identify which property to pay off first, how to pay it off, play around with the different scenarios. As I say, we could have gone back to, if we take all those payments back out of there, we could have gone back to property number 2 and taken half of that $740 and apply it to the mortgage right off the get-go. So we've got 2 mortgages that we're focusing on paying down quickly.
Like kind of like what you do when you're paying off credit cards. You pay off one first and then focus on the next one, or...
Yeah, the idea is to focus on one for as long as you can, for as long as there's value there. The funny thing about this, and I haven't been able to get it explained to me properly so that I can explain it, because it's a very complicated mathematical equation. But it'll get to a certain point where if you keep applying more money to the mortgage, the principal pay down, the effect diminishes over time. So once you start to see that there has very little effect, you're better to take those mortgage payments and apply it to one of your other properties.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yep.
But there's no way of knowing that. And part of the problem is that because our interest rates are so low right now, most of our payments are going towards principal, not interest. If we were to have interest payments around 6 or 7%, the outcomes of this scenario would be completely different, very dramatically different.
Oh, right. Okay.
And there's no way of saying, there's no simple version. You actually simply have to put the numbers in and see what the effect is. So that's how the program works. So now what I want to do is I've created a couple examples that we're going to go through. So I'm going to shut this one down. And come on, scenario number 1. Okay, so in scenario number 1, we purchased a property in year 1. We purchased a suited property for $300,000. Oh, I've messed this up. So $300,000. The list price was $325,000, so that means that we're going to have to get a mortgage for $240,000. The property taxes are $2,400. The insurance will be $1,200, and the upstairs is $1,300 income, $900 downstairs. So that's what we have here right now. This is the one I messed it up earlier, so I'm going to go back to number of payments, no home period, 25 years. Okay. So this is a conventional mortgage. This is a conventional deal that most of us are familiar with. We've all been through before. So what makes this different is, how we apply the debt. So as I was explaining earlier, we can take the debt and put, or the income and apply it to the debt under property number 1, or we're better off just to bring that loan period down to 14 years. There we go. And we still have $93, $94 positive income on a monthly basis. And that's property number 1. I don't think we need to go any further into this. Are you clear with that, Joy?
Yeah, that's just like the example that you just did. So that makes sense.
Okay. So now we're going to buy property number 2. And property number 2 we purchased in year 2. Get this back up to the top. Here we go. So in year 2, this property, we purchased it for $330,000. It was listed for $340,000. It's in a good location. The rents are going to be $1,350 upstairs and $925 downstairs. So we have got a combined $2,275. Property taxes are $2,800 or $234 a month. Property insurance is about $100 a month. So our net income on this property is $745 almost. That's based on a 3.6% interest rate, and we've got it amortized over 30 years. Now, here's something interesting. It depends on what you want to do with this property. Is this going to be one of your properties that you're going to focus on paying the debt down quickly as well? If it is, then I would suggest you shorten your amortization period down. Because if you shorten it down to 25 years, then your payment's going to go up and your cash flow is going to go down by almost $100.
But you dropped the loan period by 5 years.
But we've shortened the loan period by 5 years. So we could do the same thing that we did with property number 1, and we could take this net income right down to, well, let's see. If we take it down to 15 years, there we go. So we could do nothing but leave property number 1 and property number 2 as they are, and within 14 or 15 years, you'll have 2 properties paid off.
Wow.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Or, let's go back, put that back up to 30 years. Now we've got $744, and what we're going to do is we're going to take that $740, go back to property number 1, as I mentioned earlier. We bought it 1 year after the first property, so on month 13, we've got $740 that we're going to apply on a monthly basis.
Okay, so we're taking the net income from property number 2 and just applying it to the mortgage on property number 1. That mortgage that is already only a 14-year mortgage
is going to drop down. So right now, I keep pointing at the screen, but nobody can see me do that. Our current mortgage now is at 14 years. By adding $740 a month for the balance of its term, let's get on here, drops it down to 115 months.
Divide it by 12.
That should be 9.6. So 9.6 years. Okay. So we understand property number 1, property number 2. A lot of people are in a position where they can buy 1 or 2 properties. They've got the cash or they've got the means to come up with a down payment. But then they're going to hit that wall. And that wall is, well, in order to purchase number 3, I don't have the down payment. So I have to bring a joint venture partner in. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, some people are going to have to do this from the very beginning. And some people may have to do it at property number 5, property number 6. Again, everybody's situation and scenario is different. That's why it's important for you to take the time and play with this analyzer and see how it works and what's a benefit to you. So, property number 3. Let's go through the scenario. So we jump over to tab property number 3. And what we're going to do is we're going to purchase another suited property. These are all single-family homes suited. And again, they do not have to be. You could be buying, property number 3 or 4 could be a triplex. Property number 6 could be a 12-unit apartment building. It doesn't matter what they are. Okay? In this case, property number 3, you purchased a property for $300,000. Original list price was $325,000. It's in a decent location where you'll get rents of $1,300 up, $900 down.
with tenants paying their own utilities. Property taxes are $2,400, insurance $1,200, miscellaneous $100. Sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, sounds like they're all in the same neighborhood.
And it's funny because I did a little bit of research in a neighboring town, and I discovered what I was looking for was to see what type of houses were available in the marketplace. And there were about 100 homes, and this is a market of 10,000 people. There were approximately 100 homes available on the market. Of that 100, I found about 8 that were suitable for what it was I wanted to do. And I then approached the town to see if I would be able to convert these properties. And yes, there's a process to do it, but yes, it is possible. So these homes were all in my area, they were all in the $275,000 to $325,000 price range. And the rents would be in this market as well. So you can make this your specialty where you just buy these types of properties. Actually, one of our students, big congratulations go out to one of our students. They've just purchased and closed on their first property in Fort Saskatchewan. And it was exactly this scenario. It's a house that has the potential for a suite basement. They're going to suite the basement, and these are the types of rents they're going to be getting. And this is the price range they paid as well. So these are realistic numbers. So
Across Canada.
Pretty much across Canada in different markets, exactly. Excuse me. So property number 3. How are we going to do this? How are we going to finance the property? So we can take, there's a couple different scenarios. Let's say that we are going to bring an investor in and pay them a return with the plan of paying them out in the future. So Joanne, if you don't mind role-playing with me and be realistic here. Mm-hmm. In today's market, let's assume that you've got $100,000 in savings. What would they be earning you in the bank today? If you had them in a GIC, someplace safe and secure.
Well, in a GIC, you could probably get, 2.5%, 3%?
2.5%, 3%. So if I was to ask you to come in with me and be a partner in this property, and I paid you 8%, would you be interested?
I'd be all over it.
You'd be all over that?
Yeah.
And if I gave you 10%, you'd be even happier, right?
I would, yes.
But I'm not going to give you 10, but I'm going to give you 8, but maybe if I can in the end, I'll give you 10. We'll see. So I'm going to give you between 8 and 10%. So do you need the cash flow, or do you just need the 10% return on that money?
Well, if it was in my savings account, chances are I wasn't planning on using it, so I'm just looking for something secure to invest it in. Something secure to invest it in, and it'll grow. Exactly,
correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you mind if I pay you a balloon payment at the end of 3 years or 5 years, whatever our term is?
Nope, I'd be good with that.
Okay. Would you be okay if I take 100% of the cash flow on a monthly basis from this property? Because the strategy I have is I need to generate more income to live on. This is my business. So I need that to live on. And when there's a cash call for repairs or maintenance, I will take care of that. That's not going to fall on your shoulders, okay?
So what's my guarantee?
So your guarantee is at the end of 5 years, I will pay you in this particular case, I'm looking for $60,000 down payment.
Okay.
So I need $60,000. I'll pay you 8% each year. Mm-hmm. So 8% of $60,000 is how much?
$4,800.
$4,800. Okay, $4,800 for the next 5 years is how much?
Not quite $15,000.
Not quite $15,000. So I'll give you your $60,000 plus your $15,000 at that point in time.
Okay, and what's my guarantee I'll get my $60,000 back?
We'll register that against the title of the property, so I can't sell the property. You're secured on that property as well.
Okay, so it's like a second mortgage.
It's like a second mortgage. Actually, what I'd like to do is even better, if you don't mind. What I would like to do is bring you on as a joint venture partner, which means that you will help qualify for the mortgage, but we'll have an agreement between the two of us. I'll be 100% responsible for it. Any cash calls I will take care of. I will do all the management. You will have no headaches, no hassles. I cannot sell the property because you're on title.
I like that better.
You like that better?
Yeah.
So in
So
five,
do we do that like through a signed agreement, or?
we will do that through a signed agreement when we buy the property, or if you come on after the fact, I'll put you on to the title as well. The mortgage company may ask you to qualify for the mortgage at that time, or they may not. Are you okay with that, though?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
So at the end of 5 years, then, we can discuss the options. I'll either buy you out, give you your $60,000 plus the interest back and take you off the title, or if you're really interested and you like that deal, we can leave you on and I'll just give you the interest payments and leave your $60,000 in there.
Well, I'll probably want to do another deal with you at that point.
All right, so we'll wait and see 5 years down the road. Does that make sense?
So I have an exit strategy.
You've got an exit strategy with 2 options.
Okay.
So what does that do for me then? Now, I bought the property, we bought the property actually. I used your $60,000, and what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take, in this particular case, $700. But I'm going to leave a little bit of money there. So I'm going to take $650 every month, leave $50 in the bank account, and I'm going to go back to property number 1. And property number 1 under number 3. So let's say, well, first of all, for our students' benefit, how many properties can I buy like this?
How many properties can
I buy?
like
Yeah.
this? With us qualifying together?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I would say endless, but no, eventually you won't be able to qualify.
Me or you?
Well, if we're qualifying together.
Eventually you won't be able to qualify. So then what do? I go out and find another partner.
Right.
So I find partner B, and partner B agrees to do the same thing that you just did for me, and we buy more properties.
Right.
And then partner B is going to get tapped out. So maybe partner B can only do 1 because they only have $60,000.
Right.
So then I have to go to partner C. So based on that scenario, how many properties can I buy?
Well, sounds like a trick question, but you're going to get capped out too.
No.
Because you're not qualifying?
I could be. I'm going to be qualifying, but it's always the other person's qualifications that's going to take me over the top. As long as my credit score is good, it's not going to be a detriment.
So you need to choose solid joint venture partners with good credit.
Good credit, good earning potential.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So as long as I've got good partners with good credit and good earning potential, and I've got good credit, I can buy as many properties as I want. Make sense?
Okay, yeah.
And if I can structure them all the same way, where I take 100% of the cash flow on a monthly basis, how quickly can I pay my properties down? Pretty darn quick,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So let's just go through, we'll finish that scenario off. So I'm going to buy this property in month 14 from when I started. And I'm going to take, I forget how much I was going to take now. $650. So I go back to property number 1, and I put $650 in here. And I'm going to do that every month, right?
Yeah.
So if I do that every month, now my mortgage is going to be paid off in 92 months, which is how long?
7.5 years.
So in 7.5 years, I will have property number 2 paid off. Or, sorry, property number 1 paid off.
Okay.
Now, in property number 1, I mean, you can see how this can go on. I mean, 2 months later, I buy another property, and it's the same as property number 3. So I put $600 a month on that one. So now I'm down to 79 months.
6.5 years.
So 6.5 years. So it seems funny though, doesn't it, that I just put $600 a month on there and it only dropped by a few months.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's not the best thing to do. Maybe I should take that out of there and not apply it to property number 1, but apply it to property number 2. So that was property number 4 that we bought.
Yeah.
Around 14 or 16 months, whatever
Yeah.
it was. $600. Now,
Wow.
this one goes down to 203 months from 360.
360. So that dropped 100.
Huge difference, right?
Yeah.
So this is why I can't explain why.
It's the compound.
It's the compounding, it's the interest rates, it's a variety of different things, okay? So you start to understand how this analyzer works. Any questions?
Well, I think what I would just need to do is I would just need to play with it to understand how it works so I could understand what the possibilities are.
Exactly.
So I do have a question actually. Sometimes with my job I get a bonus.
Yes.
So what would happen?
Thank you. Okay. So let's go back to, we'll say property number 1 for argument's sake. And if you're lucky enough that you get an annual bonus, so on month 12, you go all the way over to the right-hand side and under miscellaneous. And how much is your bonus, John?
Well, sometimes I've received like $10,000.
$10,000. Nice job.
It was.
All right, we're down to 88 months now.
Oh, it was only, I forget what it was, 90-some?
It was 92.
92.
So it only dropped at 4 months.
So probably it would be better to apply to one of my other properties.
To one of the other properties. So you can take it out of there and say, no, I don't want to put it there. I want to put it under property number 2.
So I have another question.
Yep.
I think this goes back to the week when we talked to the mortgage broker. It's to make sure that when I put these mortgages in place that I have options to be able to do this.
Absolutely. So thank you for bringing that up. This is why, again, because of the strategy of 5 Homes to Freedom is to pay down the debt as quickly as possible, unlike the other investors where we're accumulating debt. When you're accumulating debt, you're not as concerned about the mortgage pay down scenarios. So what we're doing is trying to create or obtain mortgages that give us the options, the opportunity, many options. So, for example, most conventional mortgages will allow you to pay down the principal 10, 15, maybe 20% once a year. They will also allow you to increase your monthly payments by up to 10, 15, 20% once a year. And you can do that each and every year. Now, that may not be enough. If you've got a $10,000, well, if you have a $10,000 lump sum payment, that's probably not too bad. But if you had a $50,000 lump sum payment, you may not be able to apply that all against one property. You may have to split it and apply it against 2 properties.
Right.
Or you might be able to, depending on the time of year, the anniversary of the mortgage. If the anniversary of the mortgage happens to be July 1st and the middle of June is when you got your $50,000 bonus or lump sum payment, you could take $25,000 and apply it in the year prior to July 1st, and the day after July 1st, you can apply the balance of it. So you can do it twice in a short period of time. It's each calendar year.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's many different ways of looking at it, but obviously you want to get mortgages that allow you as much payment as possible to reduce your principal payment. So if it's a 10% annual versus a 20%, then go for the 20%. And even if it means paying a 1/10 or a 1/4% higher, more often than not, the terms that you get are more important than the interest rate that you pay. Okay? There's also open mortgages where you can pay the mortgage off 100% at any time. So if you've got a property that you've got under contract and you're a real money-making machine, you're out there and you're doing assignments, you're doing rent-to-owns, or you're buy, fix, and selling, and you're getting large chunks of cash on a regular basis, then you might be better off to get a mortgage. Even at today's rates, an open mortgage might pay 6%. But if you've got a $250,000 mortgage that you can pay off in 2 or 3 years with lump sum payments, then that's the one you want to get.
Is that like the velocity of money, or?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you want to, well, yes and no. I mean, we're sort of going backwards with respect to Robert's philosophy. Robert's philosophy is to have as much debt as possible and get your money out. But that brings up a very good point that I wasn't going to talk about tonight, but it's,
Sorry.
you know, there's two strategies. So I'm going to ask you, as an investor, there's two strategies. Do you want cash flow today or cash flow when you retire?
Well, at this point, I'm looking for cash flow when I retire.
So if you want cash flow when you retire, you've got a good job today, you're paying your bills, so you're building that portfolio to generate cash flow in the future. And if you want a large amount of cash flow when you retire, and you're not worried about building equity, you're just focusing on cash flow, then you want as little debt as possible.
Right.
If you're wanting cash flow today and to build equity long term, then you have to structure it completely different.
Okay, right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it's not to say one strategy is better or right or wrong. It's what works for you.
They're just different, and it
They're just
depends on
different.
what you need.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Okay? So let's get back to this scenario number 3 where we borrowed the money. I borrowed the money from you. You're now my partner. So the future value of this property at 4% appreciation, let's get back to property number 3 first of all. Come on, there we go. Property number 3, 4% appreciation after 5 years is
95,000.
Am I in the right one here? Oh, sorry, 5 years. Yes, 395,000. I was looking on the wrong one. $395,000. So we can do two things. We can sell the property, and I can buy you out and take the cash, and take that cash and apply it to one of my other properties.
Okay.
Or, I think this is the better move, I refinance it at that point in time. Now, you're only allowed to refinance up to 80%. So 80% of the $395,000 will be $316,000.
Okay. Yep.
So everybody that's listening, get your pen and paper out and follow along here. I'm going to go back and we'll go over it slowly again, okay? So the purchase price was $300,000, but in 5 years at a 4% appreciation, it's now worth $395,000. At 80% loan to value, we can go to the bank and apply for a new first mortgage worth $316,329. But we still owe a balance on that first mortgage.
Right.
And the balance on the first mortgage, if we just did it conventionally and we didn't do any lump sum payments against it, the balance owing would be $207,000 and change.
Can you just show us on here?
Oops. 5 years. Actually, I
60
messed it up
months.
because, so again, I'm more interested in cash flow. So this is the investment property between the two of us, right?
Okay, yep.
I want my cash flow to be as high as possible. You see how it jumped up to $825?
Yep.
Which would allow me to take even more money to pay down the other properties.
Right. Okay.
So in 5 years' time, I owe 5-year term here. Just looking for it. I guess it's down here. 60
months, right?
Oh, thank you. That's what was
You're
wrong.
getting confused.
I'm getting confused. $215,000.
So just highlight it, yeah.
I don't know that it will highlight that. No.
Oh, okay, okay, all right.
Okay. Or if we go back here and do 25 years conventionally, that's 60 months, it's $207,000.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go with that. So
We refinance.
We refinance it.
$316,
We've
but
got-
we owe $207.
exactly. So that leaves us with $96,000, or no, it doesn't leave it. So I also owe you $60,000 plus interest,
Yep.
right?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Now, you only asked for 8%, but I'm going to give you 10% because I'm such a nice guy, right?
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
a really nice guy,
Sometimes.
sometimes. All right, so I'm going to give you $36,630 in interest. That means I have to pay you, in total, $96,630.
Okay, and you're paying that from the refinance?
Yep.
Okay, yep.
There's also going to be some costs for the lawyer to redo everything, so I'm rounding things up, so there's $2,600.
Okay,
So after I pay off the first mortgage, pay you off,
yeah.
and pay my lawyer, I've got $10,000 cash left over.
Okay,
So I'm going to take that $10,000 cash and I'm going to apply it to one of my properties, my other properties.
Okay.
But what's unique is that who owns that property free and clear now?
You do.
How much money did I put into it?
None. Because
None.
I put it in, you paid me off. You got $10,000 out when you refinanced to apply to one of your other properties. And yeah.
So 5 years later, I own the property. I'm the only one on title. I haven't got 1 cent of my money in there, and it's still cash flowing. I can still now take
That's
the
how
cash
you get
flow.
a house for free?
Basically, is that not for free?
Yeah, it is.
Now, if I do that with every other investor that I did that with, if I did that 10 times in that year 2 or year 1, okay, that means in 5 years' time, I own 10 homes without 1 penny of my money going into it. I own 100% of the profit coming from each one of those deals. I can now focus on, I can either just take the cash flow and live on that, or I can take the cash flow from 5 and pay down the other 5 quickly, or any combination. There's just so many different combinations.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I know, people may think that we're acting here, but Joanne is actually, I believe you are wowed you, to truly understand this concept, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the whole idea of it's just using the other investors, and you've put nothing in, so you've partnered with 10 different people or 5 people twice or whatever, but as your investor, you've given me 10% return. I've only been tied up for 5 years. I would be so thrilled with that kind of an investment.
Perfect. So that was going to be my next question.
Oh,
as an investor, okay?
Yeah,
You were happy with that 10% return?
absolutely.
Making 30, it's more than a 50% increase in 5 years.
Yeah.
Right? That's actually, So what are you going to want to do at the end of that 5 years?
I'm going to want to do it again with all of it.
All right. So what if I give you an option? So scenario number 2, instead of me paying you out completely, what if the same percentage, same appreciation, so we've got that, we're going to refinance it for $316,000. We're going to pay off the existing first mortgage of $207,000, but I'm not going to pay the principal off. I'm just going to give you your interest.
My $36,000 interest?
Yeah, and we'll renew for another 5 years. Are you happy?
So I just keep my 60 in there?
Yep.
Well, yeah, because if I'm not ready to use it yet,
Now,
I don't need it.
Exactly, but I might be ready to use that 36 someplace else, right?
Right.
And if you've done 2 identical deals at the same time, that means you're going to have how much? 36, 60, $72,000 interest all of a sudden.
So it's like so like you're getting properties for free, I'm getting an investment for free.
Potentially, because you're going to turn around and give me that $72,000 to buy another house.
Exactly, yeah.
So you see how this whole thing is compounding, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what gets better, though, for me, okay, is if I only have to pay you the interest and I still have to pay the legal fees, instead of having $10,000 left over after this, all the dust settles, I've got $70,000.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with that $70,000?
Well, you should buy another house.
Well, or
pay off.
do I pay off, put that $70,000 towards 1, 2, or 3 of my other houses and pay the debts off on them more quickly?
So then, yeah, it all depends on what the plan is, what your time frame is. But the whole point is the 5 homes to freedom, right?
Yeah.
And so you'd be wanting to pay your other homes off.
Yeah. So again, there's no right or wrong scenario or solution here. It depends on what you want. If you want to end up with 2 homes free and clear, you can get your homes paid off pretty darn quickly if you work hard and you work creatively with joint venture partners.
Exactly, yeah.
So can you now, because for those listening, and I don't mean any disrespect to Joanne here, but Joanne is a very skeptical person. You're very cautious.
I'm conservative,
and
yes.
very conservative.
Yeah.
So when you hear some of these harebrained ideas that I or other people come up with sometimes, you sort of question those, do you not?
Well, I need to see the numbers and I need to understand it, and it needs to be about something that I feel comfortable and confident in. And I do feel confident in real estate, and I do feel confident in suited houses. Like, I just think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So this is a very doable exercise.
Yeah.
So what's, in your opinion, what's the number one challenge you think most new investors are going to experience? Because once they grasp the concept, I think the math is pretty straightforward. Finding the homes, that's pretty straightforward. Mm-hmm. Managing the deals, that's pretty straightforward. What do you think the number one challenge most people are going to experience?
Joint venturing with someone.
Or at least that's what they believe is going to be their problem, right?
Because it's scary to do until you
right.
approach somebody.
But, so, if you don't mind, no, we have not, Joanne and I have not practiced this. I haven't told Joanne where we're going with this at all, so I'm taking a bit of a chance here as well. So, before this evening's presentation, Joanne, how comfortable would you have felt approaching a potential joint venture partner and asking them to come into a deal with you on this?
Well, it's not something I've ever done.
So your level of comfort would be on a scale of 1 to 10?
It would be about a 1.
A 1, not very comfortable at all. Okay. So now that you see this concept, and I've actually watched your face sort of light up, and I've seen some changes in, I think, your beliefs. Am I correct? In how you can see this happen now?
Okay. Has your ability to approach a joint venture partner gone up a little bit? Well, I think when you feel confident in understanding how it works, and you feel confident in the numbers, then when you feel comfortable with it, it's much easier to explain to someone else. Exactly. So actually approaching a joint venture partner in any way, shape, or form, in any industry or business, is going to be broken down in several elements. There's your knowledge, your comfort level of your knowledge of the product. Then there's your comfort level and your knowledge of your communication skills. Mm-hmm. And then there's your own personal belief systems, mm-hmm. and your personality, yeah. Right? So I'm not talking about your belief systems, your personality. I'm not talking about the other. What I'm talking about is just strictly based on the knowledge and the concept. How do you feel approaching a potential joint venture partner now? I would be very confident to do it. So we're above a 5 or 6 now? Yeah, maybe a 7. Maybe a 7? Yeah. Well, that's phenomenal, honestly. Okay. So when you break it down like that, for those who are struggling approaching joint venture partners, and I myself fall into that. I mean, I don't just walk up to anybody. Well, you can't. That would be creepy. Well, yes, but I mean, there's a certain way to approach people to become joint venture partners. And one of the most important elements is understanding the product and believing in the product yourself. And that's what I've seen transition here with yourself, is that I see more belief from your interaction with me. Your belief has gone up. You understand it more. And because you can understand it more, and obviously not enough yet, but I mean, with more practice and understanding of the concept, putting a couple scenarios together, practicing it with a friend, and pitching it to somebody, just on that basis alone, brings your confidence up with respect to the material. I would be more comfortable approaching somebody that I have a personal relationship with. Like I wouldn't. But that's because of the other 2 elements we talked about. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I'm just talking on the content itself. I mean, you still have to work on your communication skills or your presentation skills, and then you have to work on your own beliefs, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't idea. So there's lots of things to work on, but I'm just on that one element alone. Yeah. Make sense? Yeah. Any other questions before we move off this? I think we've certainly dragged this one through the mud a couple times. Yeah, it's just I know that the most important thing is to play with it. So it's, you know, it's fine to watch you work through it, but the key is to be able to play with it myself.
Yep. Okay, so what we also have now is, sorry, got my papers all mixed up. The homework for this week is simply, just as you said, is play.
All right, well, I think you can see why I saw the value in replaying that entire video with Joanne's input and questions. It really added a lot of value. So as Joanne alluded to there at just moments ago, the key here for you is to actually open the analyzer, start inputting, create some scenarios, play with it, get accustomed to it, and then when you start to get some real deals in play, you'll understand the concept and how to manipulate not manipulate the numbers, but you know, where best to apply the numbers to get the biggest bang for your buck. So that's it for now. Again, apologize for the length of this video, but I just saw such great value in replaying it again. It's just over an hour long, but go back and check it out numerous times. Until next time, have yourself a great day, and we'll see you at the top.